The gentleman from Manassas, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The gentleman has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, we've been hearing a lot of talk about the war on coal over the last few months, and specifically here the last couple of weeks in the General Assembly. We all know that the President Obama and his Environmental Protection Agency wants to do away with this form of fuel and energy, not only in the Commonwealth, but in America. We've seen that our own governor really doesn't want to put up a strong stance against that. We've seen our own Attorney General, unlike many other states' Attorney Generals who are fighting the 111D program coming from the EPA, we see our Attorney General just kind of going, meh, we'll see what happens with it. No big deal. But the fact of the matter is the 111D program and the results of how it's written now would devastate the economy of the Commonwealth of Virginia. What shocked me the most, Mr. Speaker, is when some of my colleagues from Southwest Virginia got up on the House floor to defend their region, to defend their industry, and to defend their citizens, the minority leader got up in response a couple days later. Mr. Speaker, what shocked me most was the comment from the minority leader of, let's not make this more than it really is. Let's not make this more than it really is. Mr. Speaker, I would recommend that the minority leader take a visit to Southwest Virginia. In 2013, Mr. Speaker, I was visiting some friends in Southwest Virginia, and I happened to see a newspaper article in the middle of the school week about Buchanan County. What this article was saying was, without notice, Buchanan County had laid off 20 teachers, 20 aides, and 2 staff members of their public school system in the middle of the week with very little notice. Mr. Speaker, I would invite the minority leader to go to those people who lost their jobs and say, let's not make more of this than it really is. I would like to see how those teachers would respond to that comment. And why did these people lose their jobs, Mr. Speaker? Because the coal industry in Buchanan County is on the decline, and they were losing their severance taxes, which fund their public schools, because they have very little resources when it comes to property taxes. Their property values just aren't that high. Then later on, last week, I see a newspaper article written by one of our colleagues from the city of Alexandria. The city of Alexandria in far northern Virginia. Delegate Krupika lecturing the people of Southwest Virginia on how they need to get on board with the changing economy, telling them that we need to do more for you because your industry is going away, whether you like it or not. It's an interesting message, Mr. Speaker. It's an interesting narrative. He's trying to make it sound like this is just a natural thing. It's going away. It's not a natural thing. It's not natural market forces. It's government regulations putting these businesses out of business and these Virginians out of work. I would love to see one of these teachers and staff aides that were laid off. And by the way, just today, I spoke with the superintendent of Buchanan County Schools. Today I did, Mr. Larry Ashby. Mr. Ashby told me that they're currently in the plans right now of trying to work out an agreement with the Board of Supervisors to save 90 more school employees in Buchanan County. And ladies and gentlemen, this is just one county out of many in Southwest Virginia that are going through these problems. 90 out of 540 employees might be laid off in Buchanan County. Now, Delegate Krupika's idea was, let's tell these Southwest Virginians, because we know better in Northern Virginia, let us tell you what you need to do to prepare for this natural move of the economy away from coal. We're going to reinvest our resources that we've helped the coal industry into education, and therefore your kids will be educated. Now, I don't disagree with the concept that we need to help educate all Virginians, including Southwest, but tell that to a coal miner who's earning $87,000 a year and just got laid off from his job that, sir, I know you're going to get your foreclosure notice soon, and I know that the car company is going to come repo your truck, and I know you're going to have to feed your 2 kids with cardboard box-like macaroni and cheese, but we're going to educate your kids. We're going to take those resources, and 15 years from now, when they go to college, they're going to get a good education because we're changing the resources on you. Tell that to that miner that's losing his $87,000 a year job, Mr. Speaker. So what does coal do for Virginia? Not just Southwest Virginia. Mr. Speaker, the Chmura Group, an economic analysis firm, said that in 2013, the Virginian state government was expected to receive $22.6 million in individual coal tax revenue from the coal industry. More, the total tax revenue generated for local governments in Southwest Virginia was estimated to be $51.5 million in 2013. This is huge money for an already economically depressed area. Huge money. Mr. Speaker, does the media cover this? Does our press corps sitting back here, do they really cover this? Sitting back in the back row? No, they don't. They were obsessed with Medicaid. My gosh, every time I picked up the paper, our reporters here had Medicaid articles. And what was the theme of their articles? Well, the theme was their marching orders that they get from the DNC. Their theme was, oh, those dirty Republicans. They won't help the working poor. That was their theme, and it went over and over. Rarely did these reporters in our media corps, rarely did they emphasize how Medicaid expansion would bust our state's budget. They didn't want to say that. That wasn't part of the marching orders, was it? No, it wasn't. So why aren't they talking about this, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know. Perhaps it's not part of the theme. It's not part of the agenda. Coal is the evil industry. After all, the marching orders haven't been given for this, despite the fact that we're putting people out of work and into poverty. So what does coal mean specifically for Northern Virginia? That's what I heard a couple delegates, a couple from the other side of the aisle, and in all fairness, I heard one kind of having this conversation from my side of the aisle saying, it's Southwest Virginia. I'm from Northern Virginia. Okay. So, it's too bad, I don't like it, but that's Southwest Virginia. Let me tell you what coal does for Northern Virginia, ladies and gentlemen. Most of my colleagues made their speeches about how it affects residents and their residential power bills, and they made great points. Let me tell you what it does for commercial power bills. Let me tell you what it does to the industry that we're trying to attract to the Commonwealth of Virginia, especially in the face of all the losses we're having with sequestration. Coal is a primary base fuel. It is steady, it is regular, and it is affordable. Now, let me give you an example. Micron Technologies, the largest exporter in the Commonwealth of Virginia, in my district, probably uses between 30 to 40 megawatts a day. 30 to 40 megawatts a day. The data center industry in Northern Virginia has numerous data centers all over Loudoun, mostly in Loudoun, quite a few in Prince William and Manassas. They use anywhere from 9.6 to 40 megawatts of energy today. Let me tell you how many acres of land it takes to get 40 megawatts from solar energy. Not coal, but solar. It takes approximately 280 acres to get 40 megawatts of energy through solar. So let's replace this coal with solar, ladies and gentlemen. Well, where are we going to find a relatively flat 280 acres that we're going to take out of forestry, that we're going to take out of parkland, or that we're going to take out of agriculture to put 280 acres worth of mirrors to fuel just Micron? Well, let's find another 280 acres everywhere else to fuel just the data centers, not the universities, not people's homes, not the police stations, not the fire stations. I'm not even counting that. That is how important coal is to Northern Virginia. In fact, I recently read an article written by a guy named Jason Verge. He's the editor for the online periodical called Data Center Knowledge. What Jason had to say is Northern Virginia, most likely by the end of 2015, will overtake New York and New Jersey as the biggest multi-tenant data center market in the country. That is great news, ladies and gentlemen. That is good for the Commonwealth of Virginia. That is what we need to hear to try to offset the problems of sequestration that we're having. But what do we want to do? We want to follow these 111D programs, the war on coal. Because you know what Jason Verge said, why these companies are locating in Northern Virginia? I think everyone knows what he said. One of his reasons why he said Nova is made for data centers, because the energy is cheap and reliable. Cheap and reliable. That's what coal gives us. When that energy from Southwest Virginia is burned, it provides high-paying jobs in my part of the state. When that energy is no longer cheap, those data centers are not going to consider Northern Virginia like they once did. So, ladies and gentlemen, and quite frankly, that 280 acres it takes of solar windows to get 40 megawatts, that's not even constant. That's only on the sunny days. Think about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, now you've heard how coal affects not just Southwest Virginia, but Northern Virginia. Not to mention what I'm sure we'll hear later, what it does for the ports, for the Portsmouth area or the Hampton Roads area. Ladies and gentlemen, the war on coal that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle has the true potential to devastate the economy of the Commonwealth of Virginia. So I would hope that not only for the people that can barely afford their power bills now, but for the businesses that we're trying to attract here, that they might rethink their opinion on this issue. They might reissue their marching orders to our friends in the press corps and perhaps come up with some better ideas on how to fight back the federal government and these outrageous 111 deregulations that President Obama is putting on Virginia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.